20-year-old student disappears from a quiet college town. A trail of blood leads to a shocking discovery on a California ranch. In our number 6 story, Rachel Newhouse vanishes. Rachel Newhouse was smart, athletic, and liked to socialize. Cal Poly San Luis Obispo offered the best of both worlds for the Southern California native. On Thursday, November 12, 1998, the junior had just finished a grueling week of exams. Rachel was looking forward to a night off.
Rachel Newhouse went to a fraternity sorority fundraiser at a restaurant/bar known as Tortilla Flats. During that night, at some point, she got into an argument with one of her friends, and that friend had driven her to the restaurant. And because Rachel had not driven, she decided to walk home from that restaurant.
Witnesses saw Rachel leaving the restaurant around midnight.
Nobody knew if she'd gotten a ride home, if she walked home, if she left with somebody. And when she didn't come home that night, they called the San Luis Obispo Police Department.
The search for Rachel began immediately.
The following morning, when law enforcement got involved, a large pool of blood was discovered up on Jennifer Street Bridge. And that was over in the area where Rachel lived with her roommates.
The blood samples were sent to the crime lab for testing.
Those results indicate a high likelihood that the blood from the bridge is that of Rachel Newhouse.
We didn't know if she was still alive and been abducted or if she was already dead.
Then, on March 12, 1999, several months after Rachel's disappearance, another area college student went missing. And suddenly, a local story became big news. At number 5 on our list, the search for Andrea Crawford. 20-year-old Andrea Crawford lived just a mile from the Jennifer Street Bridge.
Andrea Crawford, she was an only child, and she was sort of a tomboy. She liked cars. She had a Mustang that she was really proud of, and she would actually race people in the Mustang. At the same time, she was studying at Cuesta College, which is a junior college in the county.
Andrea and her mother were very close, and they had telephone conversation 4 or 5 times a week. When Andrea's mother called her on the night of the 12th and she didn't respond, she got concerned and eventually called the police department. The police made entry into the house and discovered that there was some blood found on the entryway in the bathroom area. Her car was parked in the driveway, but Andrea and her car keys were missing.
Authorities decided to question all the sex offenders in the area. Several days after Andrea disappeared, San Luis Obispo parole agent Dave Zaragoza noticed an item in the local paper.
On or about March 16th of 1999, the San Luis Obispo PD put out a statement regarding the abduction, and the article basically put out that it was very likely that the victim was abducted from her apartment.
2 days later, Agent Zaragoza paid a visit to one of his parolees, 33-year-old Rex Krebs. Krebs had served 10 years for committing 2 violent rapes. After his release, Krebs lived on a remote ranch 10 miles outside San Luis Obispo.
Mr. Krebs came out and greeted me in the driveway. He had a brace up around his ribcage area, and he basically explained that he had fallen off a retaining wall and had injured his ribs that way. I noticed that he didn't have any abrasions on his elbows, hands. There was no cuts, no marks, no visible injuries to his hands or forearms or his elbows. It just wasn't making any sense to me at that point.
Dave Zaragoza became very suspicious, and Dave started to get very nervous because here he was in a remote area with a potential serial killer.
Agent Zaragoza took a routine urine sample from Krebs and left the ranch. Days later, Zaragoza returned to the property, this time with police backup. He conducted a search of Krebs' home and the lumberyard where he worked. Investigators uncovered a BB gun. Having a firearm was a parole violation. Police also found a jewelry box containing several puzzling items.
I located an 8-ball keychain, some business cards with the names of females and their phone numbers on the back of the business cards, which raised and piqued my interest. One of the special agents alerted me to the fact that Andrea Crawford had an 8-ball keychain that was no longer in her residence.
Police arrested Krebs and charged him with violating parole. Investigator Larry Hobson was assigned to interview Krebs.
He denied any knowledge of Rachel Newhouse or Andrea Crawford, had no idea they were missing.
Police returned to Krebs' ranch and conducted another search.
We noticed that his Ford pickup had jump seats in the back. One of the jump seats was missing, and the carpet in the rear portion had been cut out.
Police found the missing seat and sent it in for testing.
Well, on April